If you have to say you're the funny one, you're probably not the funny one. The Amazing Digital Circus is a wonky animation that took over the internet recently, and I'm not gonna lie to you, it's entertaining as hell as well. I really think this is the absolute perfect show made for literally all ages. A kid will like the funny characters and the wacky colors, and an adult will really appreciate the darker existential themes that are in every single episode of this wacky adventure. It might be hard to get into as an adult because you see like these goofball characters getting memed to oblivion by the most obnoxious fan base of all time, but realistically, if you actually give it a shot, it's a masterpiece. 6 episodes came out so far, with every one better than the last, episode 6 being the absolute best of the entire series thus far, with the spotlight on everyone's favorite purple retard, Jax. From the very beginning of the show, this is the guy you avoid, alright? This dude is an absolute menace. He's out there trolling and annoying everyone in this digital hellscape, and he is the guy you stay away from. Also, he is the fan favorite character, because realistically, assholes are incredibly fun to watch. Everyone has an asshole. Everyone likes looking at ass. Okay, this metaphor is falling apart, but he is incredibly entertaining with his goofiness, and there's also a part of him that's just incredibly relatable, I think, to everyone. The setting of the Amazing Digital Circus is you have all these people that are in a circus that don't really remember certain aspects about their lives, like their names, and they're in this virtual world where they essentially exist forever to just play random, wacky, zany adventures and game shows that have no purpose other than to keep you, or potentially your audience, entertained for whatever reason for infinite time. Who knows how long you'll be there, maybe forever, with no purpose, no goals, no life, no ability to have sex, and most importantly, no end in sight. It is absolute, sheer, utter boredom, and the only thing to take your mind off it are completely pointless adventures that just exist, and that you know exist purely to keep you from going completely mad. If you do go mad, you abstract, you turn into these horrifying creatures, these gargantuan beasts that lose all semblance of humanity, with eyeballs glistening and looking around everywhere like those biblically, anatomically correct angels that you see in like everywhere on social media. Epic foreshadowing for biblical references. Also, the guy that's controlling this is called Cain. Suspicious enough, isn't it? So the aesthetic is peak, the world building is great, the characters are unbelievably wacky and zany. Every single one of them has its own adoring allure, and I will probably be making videos on other ones if you like. If you want me to keep making videos like this, definitely subscribe. More deeper, somber looks at wacky and zany characters. But the only one who really seems to have it all figured out is Jax. Everyone is out there worried about their own existence. Zooble doesn't want to participate in games. Kanger is just kind of a psychopath, kind of a just insane person that, I don't know, went through some shit. Ragatha has this fake forced optimism, and Pomni is the new character. The only person that's actually going around having a good time is Jax. He's the only guy that goes around trolling people, having some purpose. He recognized the nihilism of the world. He sees that there's no point to anything in this universe. So he has it all figured out. He's not trying to figure out what's going on, trying to get back home, trying to do things to appease other people. He just lives in the moment and has a glorious time, or at least that's exactly what he wants you to think. The truth is the absolute opposite. The truth is, and it's been made super clear in episode 6, and the breadcrumbs have been leading us to this path the entire time, and to the point that I've been saying it. I overreact and analyze every episode individually if you want to check those out. I've been saying this the whole time. No one is fully dressed without a smile, but the smile is part of the clothes. It's part of the attire. It is part of the dress. It's a facade. I think a lot of us smile as a defense mechanism to smile away our pain. All right, it's so much easier than actually crying. As counterintuitive as that might sound, it's so much easier to lie to the people around you when you're also lying to yourself. When you're saying everything is fine, but it's not fine. To say that everything is funny when it's not, and to say that nothing matters when it does. See, the beauty of the Amazing Digital Circus is despite the fact that they are people that don't need to eat, they don't need to live, they don't need to sleep, they can't die, and they just have an endless fun time of endless wacky adventures. That is the existential nightmare of it. And that's why the only part of them that remains affected by what happens in the circus is their mind. It's their mind that keeps them human, and it's their mind that is threatened to break at any given time. In episode 6 of the Amazing Digital Circus, it was revealed, and as a lot of people predicted, that Jax feels bad for his previous friend's demise. He got close to some people in this circus, and they ended up abstracting, turning into these horrifying gargantuan monsters that lost any semblance of their humanity. Not that this random stuffed bunny has humanity, but he has a mind, and the abstracted creatures are the ones whose minds have broken. He's lost friends, and that's hurt him immensely. So despite the fact that he is trying subconsciously to make friends with people like Pomni and to get close to people like Gangle, he outwardly sabotages himself every step of the way, putting up endless barriers through hilarious funny gags and tormenting them to force them to not be friends of his. He does his absolute best to sabotage his friendships, to stay distant and aloof and funny, so he doesn't have to suffer the consequences of losing another friend. Once the entire facade falls apart and you realize that you are just looking at a sad, broken man using laughter as a shield, it could really help you look inward a little bit every once in a while. You could realize that you do the same thing. Now, you probably think that I'm talking about myself, and I am, but I'm also talking about everyone. Everyone puts up shields, everyone puts up walls, and no one wants to get hurt, and therefore our mind acts in sometimes the most self-sabotaging way to protect ourselves. Instead of actually asking for help, Jax would rather literally crawl into a ball, curl up, and die. He would rather die alone than bring someone down with him. You could argue that it's almost selflessness, that he's trying to not destroy people by befriending them, but it's the absolute utter selfishness. I think the selflessness is what he tells himself. He tells himself, oh, I'm being selfless by not getting close to these people and ruining their lives. And then he tells himself, oh, I'm just being the funny one. I don't need anyone actually at all. When in reality, that is exactly what he needs. He's just not willing to take it. In a previous episode of The Amazing Digital Circus, there was a running gag that Jax, the absolute degenerate goofball troll of the group, is scared of corn. Every time he would see a cob of corn, he'd lose his shit. He'd jump out of his skin. Corn was so scary. And obviously, from the outside perspective, yeah, corn is terrifying. But from a more inside perspective, why? It's just a funny gag, right? There's definitely nothing to see here. It's just a funny gag. It gets referenced in episode 6 again that he has trypophobia, right? The fear of many small kernels bunched together, or many small circles that are together in specific sequences, almost like a creature with many, many eyes all over its body. It's very obvious that his trypophobia comes from the fact that his friends have abstracted and turned into these malevolent creatures that have lost all semblance of themselves. He is a walking ball of PTSD and misery that he masks behind a smile. So despite the fact that they are in some amazing digital circus, an existential hellscape, masked as a fun time with the boys, having funny, wacky adventures where you can't even die, it is an absolute nightmare world with no future, no sense of accomplishment or progression or building anything of value. And that is the ultimate rabbit hole that will get you down into a depressive state. You need the idea of being able to give, to grow, to do something of value. Otherwise, what is anything worth? That's when nihilism grabs you and you lose yourself. They're fighting a losing battle because it's only a matter of time until despair completely takes over every single one of them. The only chance they actually have is by making friends with other people and bonds. That is one way they can grow. That is one way they can stay alive and stay stimulated, and it is the only thing in the entire digital circus that is real. But nothing is truly worth anything if it can't be missed when it's gone. And Jax felt that thing of value disappear, so he became the funny one, wearing a smile as a mask, where everything looks like it's fun and games, where he's the one who has it all figured out, when in reality, he is more lost than anyone around him. Nothing is worth anything if you won't miss it when it's gone. So cherish the relationships you have while you can, because they will disappear, and that is a hole in your heart that can't be fixed with a fake smile.